MGM-140A Atom's missiles are already in action. This is what their launch looks like. The military of the armed forces of Ukraine continue to resist the Russian occupiers. This time, thanks to a successful mission, Ukrainian soldiers managed to destroy a Russian MLRS. The Ukrainian missile troops also struck two heavy flamethrower systems of the Russian Army's TOS-1A Solntsevyak multiple rocket launcher. One of those who dreamed of reaching Kiev in 3 days burned to death in the forest near Kreminna in Luhansk region. We are talking about the driver of this Russian MTLB, which was skillfully destroyed by aerial reconnaissance men of the mortar battery of the 100th Separate Territorial Defense Brigade. Together with the calculation of gunners of the 2nd Division of the 45th Separate Artillery Brigade, the trailed self-propelled howitzer FH-70 of 155mm caliber did not fail. It is noteworthy that the so-called colleagues of this occupier, the losers, did not even think to save their comrade in arms. They just scattered like shitty rats. In the Kupiansk sector, border guards of the Steel Frontier Assault Brigade discovered a Soviet S-60 anti-aircraft artillery system with a 57mm caliber AS-P-57 cannon, developed in the mid-1940s, at enemy positions during aerial reconnaissance. The last time these guns were used by Soviet troops was during the Afghan War. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union, most post-Soviet countries, including Ukraine, decommissioned the S-60 due to its obsolescence. A borderline kamikaze drone flew out to see the museum exhibit. The results of this explosive encounter are clearly visible in the video. Also, in the same area, the border guards of the Steel Frontier destroyed other equipment of the occupiers. At night, border aerial reconnaissance in the Svatov direction gave the occupiers a sleepless night, destroying several of their positions with personnel, an ammunition depot, and a D-30 howitzer. One of the most difficult areas is Bakhmut. Soldiers of the 93rd Brigade Kholodny Yar showed the conditions of combat. The video was posted on the Army's Telegram channel, but the footage shows ruined houses and a playground. The military showed what Ukrainian cities in the area of active hostilities have become. In addition, the soldiers showed footage of a real battle. In the Bakhmut sector, Russians regularly conduct night assaults. In this video, aerial reconnaissance men of the 30th Brigade show night attacks by brigade air defense systems and guns of neighboring units on the advancing enemy. Equipment and manpower are destroyed, and ammunition is burning. In the same direction, the 3rd Assault Brigade approached the enemy's positions and carried out a series of powerful explosions right in the enemy's holes from a risky distance. Meanwhile, the drones of the Border Guard aerial reconnaissance units discovered the occupants' ammunition depot and struck. And in the Avdiivka sector, the Omega military showed how they destroyed a tank with a Javelin 8 GM. the Russians continue to try to break through the Ukrainian defense. However, to no avail. The Second Mechanized Battalion of the Presidential Brigade showed how to hold back the enemy invasion. Aerial reconnaissance revealed the advance of enemy vehicles and infantry. The enemy managed to reach the Ukrainian trenches, but was knocked out and forced to retreat to their lines, and about 20 occupants were captured. And here's another spectacular destruction of a BMP, one of the Russian occupiers, with the detonation of an ammunition in the Avdiivka sector. Ukrainian defenders also showed how the Russian invaders' dugouts are being cleared in the Avdiivka sector. The Russians are constantly trying to conduct assault operations in this area, but not in the way they planned. You can see the result in this footage. The occupiers once again tried to advance, but an FPV drone stood in the way. The main task of such a drone is to destroy equipment worth millions of dollars. Another Russian attack near Mariinka was repelled by the 79th Brigade. In this small area, the occupiers' losses amounted to 1 BMP-1, 2 BMP-2, 3 T-80 BVs, and 1 T-72B. And in this footage, aerial reconnaissance men showed how the Russians were storming the positions of Ukrainian defenders. The Russian invaders suffered fire damage, destroyed equipment and manpower. Also, the 43rd Airborne Brigade's aerial reconnaissance team used the Shark system to detect the position of an enemy Hyacinth C2C5 gun. After that, HIMARS worked on it. During reconnaissance operations in the southern direction, the SFO operators found a good target, the location of Russian Zala UAV crews. The Ukrainian soldiers conducted surveillance and then adjusted the fire of the HIMARS rocket launcher to the enemy's calculations. One hit, and the occupiers had fewer UVs. Ukrainian troops are deepening their penetration into the Russian-occupied part of Zaporizhzhia region and storming Novoprokopivka, a frontline village 1.5 kilometers south of Robotin. The American Institute for the Study of War says in a report. The pilots of the 501st Separate Marine Battalion continue to search for and destroy the occupiers' manpower on a daily basis, despite their attempts to hide. A group of occupants was found hiding in this building. The 8th Separate Mountain Assault Battalion showed how, together with the 10th Separate Mountain Assault Brigade, they destroy Russian mines. This is how the destruction of the field ammunition depot of the Russian troops by the Ukrainian guards looks like. The enemy had been accumulating artillery shells and anti-tank mines at this depot. Thanks to the work of the aerial reconnaissance men of the 11th Mikhailo Hrushevsky Brigade, all this has now turned to ashes.